Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to episode 4 of Box Office Talk. After a long hiatus, just like the Take One podcast, I am your host, August C. Jones, and we don't really have too much to get into on this episode. It really isn't too much to talk about when it comes to the box office, but I am going to get into The Grudge. I'm going to give my review of The Grudge 2020. Yeah, look out for that. Gonna be a part of that podcast, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the podcast. So since I haven't put out a podcast for the Box Office Talk, I am going to skip the whole predictions thing and everything else and jump right into what exactly won the weekend, which movies came into the top 5. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker came in at number 1 with 33.5 million. Jumanji: The Next Level came in at number 2 with 26.2 million. Number 3, Little Women with 13.6 million. Frozen 2 with 11.8 million. And The Grudge finished off the top 5, which is surprising as hell, with 11.4 million. Now, the things that kind of like stand out to me is that I didn't get to talk about it when Little Women came out. I saw the movie. I am going to have my review out for it later on this week, as well as, a few other movies or whatnot. But when it comes to it, Little Women, that's one thing that stand out to me, that even made it into the top 5, because that was a movie that I didn't think a lot of people knew about, but obviously a lot of cinephiles, let me fix that. A lot of cinephiles basically wanted to see this movie. It looked like it was good or whatnot, so they went out in droves to go see it, and I guess it was appealing to a lot of people to go check out. And I go see everything, so it was gonna be on my list regardless. And that was one thing that stood out to me. Frozen, I thought Frozen would be up there, but I mean, it did come out a while back, but I thought it would be, kind of still up there, but I mean, it's still making big bucks, but everything else seemed in line. You got Rise of Skywalker, of course, was going to be number 1 for probably still a couple more weeks until Bad Boys 3 come out, and I don't think Just Mercy or any of the movies that's coming out this weekend is going to knock it off. Like a Boss, doubt it. 1917, as much buzz that I'm hearing from that movie, I don't think it's going to knock it out at number 1 spot. And Underwater, I don't even know if that's going to even make it in the top 5, but I'm going to talk about that, a little bit later. But just getting into it, like, those are things that, certain things was like expected of the box office, and certain things were kind of just like a, no-brainer, and certain things were a surprise. Like The Grudge making it into the top 5. And yeah, so for those who don't know, if this is your first time listening to it and my podcast or whatnot, and you just don't know about like the movies, why they drop, where they drop at throughout the year and stuff, points of the year are kind of like determined as dead spots, which is January and February. Not for every movie, because there are movies that have came out toward the beginning of the year, the first quarter or whatever, and exactly in the beginning of the first quarter, and actually did good. Deadpool was one of them. I can't really bring up too many of them. Black Panther is another one. But there are, occasionally some films, 1 or 2 films within the first 3 months that will basically, actually do good. But for the most part, a lot of film like studios will drop like the movies that they don't really have too much faith in within those couple months, and maybe within September is when the big blockbuster time calms down, so they'll drop kind of like, it'll be a dead zone, drop the movies that they don't really have too much faith in, either that or drop Oscar type movies that will be closer to Oscar season and everything else. So that one is kind of a mix in between those. And the first movie to come out this year is The Grudge, 2020 remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. They say it connects to the Sarah Michelle Gellar one that came out in, I believe, I don't even remember. It came out in the 2000s, and it's like, does it really connect? because it takes place around that same time, or is this really like a reboot, or is it a soft reboot where it connects, but at the same time doesn't acknowledge that it connects, but just establish it like if we don't say that it connects, people are just gonna believe that it's a remake or reboot or whatever the hell, but it does connect just in case we want to do something later on. So I don't know, it's whatever. But it really shows this movie that it belongs in the first quarter and within the first couple months, and it's I don't know what I can say. I mean, I don't know. I've been going on and thinking about these years where like two of the reviewers that I, pay attention to a lot and that, really kind of got me into reviewing movies and talking about movies and everything else. One of them, Chris Stuckman, the other one is John Campion. And both of them just kind of like took the reins of not doing the worst of, the year and everything else. And I've been kind of contemplating that. Like, I mean, I'm still going to do a worst of the 2019, but will I do it for like this year, And it just kind of got me feeling bad because me as a person that talks about movies, I do eventually want to go from talking about movies to actually making movies, making, projects and everything else. And I do have a project lined up this year. Once I get more closer to it, I will let you guys know a little bit about it or whatever. But I do want to get more into that. And I feel like if I get more into that, bashing movies and everything else will become less of a commonplace because it's like, when you bash movies and you make a mistake, then it's like you bash this movie for doing that, but then you do the same thing. So, hey, it's whatever. But I feel like with the movies this year, I might make a change to where like if I review a bad movie, of course I'm going to review it, but at the same time may give tidbits on what I would have done to make it better, or just what could have been done to make it better. Just kind of like not bash it, but just talk about it did all of this wrong. Maybe if it did this and blah, blah, blah. And basically just kind of like, help it out, like constructive criticism or that type of stuff. I don't know. But whatever the case is, this movie deserves to be in the beginning of the year. The first movie, it deserves that because this movie was just bad. And I was surprised that it even made it within the top 5. That was the big surprise to me because I didn't even think with like getting closer to it. I have a friend that went to go see it after I saw it. And she said she didn't even know that the movie was like out. She didn't know anything about the movie until the day that she went to go see it. And she was like, oh, okay, let me go see this. And I'm just like, wow. And then John Campion talked about it, and it was just like, I wonder how many people did know or did not know that this movie was coming out. So if it wasn't a lot of people knowing about this movie coming out, making it into the top 5, it was a surprise. And I just want to let people know, save your money. Truly just save your money. But that's why I'm about to get into this review. So, talking about The Grudge. This movie, it is a teen horror film. Teen horror film cash grab. That's exactly what it is. That's like literally what it is. This movie is meant for teenagers. And I'm not saying that really just kind of in a bad way, but usually like teenagers, unless you like just really into movies or, you just, you like something different about it. Majority of the teenagers that go to see these movies, they don't care about, the stuff I care about. They don't care about acting. They don't care about this and that. If it is really bad, they're going to say it. But basically it's just they like it, they don't like it, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not trying to dumb it down and make it seem like people are simple, but a lot of people, they don't care to do all that. And that's really just kind of like the crux of what it is. It's just a teen horror film. That's what it is. Because it has too many jump scares, like literally jump scares throughout the whole film. And that's basically what it is. And they are jump scares really, truly without a purpose. And that's one thing that just stood out about it. And it does have a creepiness about it, but it is just quickly killed off by just the jump scares, because the jump scares after that becomes really predictable. And once they become predictable, they become less scary. And that's what I just kind of like went throughout the whole film. As far as the acting was good. I don't have no problem with the acting. It wasn't anything spectacular, but they did good with what they were working with. This movie doesn't offer anything to the audience as a reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, or just as a movie at all. You know, it just seemed like it was a movie to be made so that it can make money. You know, it's just a cash grab. It's your average, ordinary, like, above, like, well, average to below average type of like horror film, cash grab. And it just, one of the things that I just really didn't like about the film is that it just jumped around too much. Is that it has like 3 to 4 stories going on about people that lived in the house that, you know, the ghost is like, you know, basically torturing people. And a lot of these stories don't really add up to too much. It just showed that this happened to this people, this happened to these people, this happened to the main character, and this and that. And it really don't add up to anything but just a lot of jump scares. And it just took me out the movie. And there's really no true story to this. It's just things happen. These people went crazy in this house, got killed, whatever, and that's it. These people in this house lost their minds, killed, whatever, got killed, and then that's it. It just, nothing truly happens in this movie of just, you know, whatever. And just a lot of times I do believe that with movies like this, you could tell a lot where the movie is going to go or what the movie actually is from just the beginning scene. And the beginning scene of this movie is literally telling of what the rest of the movie is going to be like. Because simply, the rest of the movie, it was just the beginning of the movie. You know, it just, I don't know. It was like, I know what I'm in for. I just know truly what I'm in for when I get to this movie. The humor was non-existent in this movie. The only humor to be had in this movie was unintentional humor by the things that the characters did, stupid decision making and all that stuff. And it was just, it really basically just that, just unintentional humor of just stupid stuff that was happening in the movie or just things that happen and just make you laugh. And there is no intentional like funny person in the movie to relieve tension and all that stuff. It just kind of like things happen. The characters are just don't have no personality. They just go throughout the film and just things happen and there is no exciting or anything to be had, no fun, at least a little bit to be had with this movie. No enjoyment, no entertainment. It's just jump scares galore and things happen. This movie, I'm gonna give it a 2 because it is not worth seeing. I'm not gonna bash it. I feel like I'm not gonna really get into the things. I might make a separate video for it about what they could have done to make this movie better. They don't talk about the ghosts and what happened to the spirits or anything like that. But if it does connect to the other films, that's probably why. And I feel like if people don't know that, then that's going to be one thing to stand out. Is like, why are these ghosts here? What happened? They died in a rage, but what happened? You know, it's just whatever. But in any case, this movie, 2, don't go see it. Save your money. There are more movies coming out this week, which I'm going to talk about right about now because I'm going to talk about coming this week. So we have 4 movies that's coming out this week. One of them is getting a wide release, which I'm definitely going to go check out. But the first movie on the list is Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, and Brie Larson, and it's about a attorney who is basically defending the rights of men and men who got innocently locked up or whatever, and so he's fighting to get them out and everything else and give them the justice they deserve. Well, while dealing with racism, prejudice, and just everything around the time, and it happens in the 1980s. It looks pretty good. I haven't heard too much about it. I am going to look more into it, but it looks pretty good. I'm definitely going to go check it out. The next movie is Like a Boss with Tiffany Haddish, Rose Byrne, and Selma Hayek. And it's just about these 2 entrepreneurs who have a company in which they fall into debt, and then a woman played by Selma Hayek comes in, swoops in like a hero to help bring them out of obscurity or whatnot, and ends up finding out that the characters that Tiffany Haddish and Rose Byrne play play, they find out that Selma Hayek's character is basically just taking their product and selling it and taking credit for it. So it's just a fight to basically, just a little person is fighting a big person to, save their company and everything else. It looks like it's going to have some laughs. I don't know, with it being at the beginning of the year, if it's going to deliver anything or if it's going to be just like The Grudge, but I am going to go check it out. I don't know when, but I am. The next movie is Underwater, just about a underwater facility that ends up getting flooded, and so all the occupants of this facility must flee underwater when they get basically met up or introduced into these sea creatures, and they have to try to survive this ordeal. And it is starring Kristen Stewart. Looks pretty decent. Love horror films. Don't know if I'm going to go see it Thursday or later on, but definitely am going to go see it. It may end up being horrible, but whatever. And the other movie is 1917, which is coming to a wide release, and it's just about two soldiers who get instructions to take a message over enemy lines that can save the lives of over 1,600 of their fellow soldiers and everything else. And the movie getting crazy buzz, and I'm definitely going to go see it. And it stars Dean Charles Chapman, George McKay, Benedict Cumberbatch, Colin Firth, and I'm probably, man, I messed up the name. Colin Firth, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and Mark Strong. And this movie, I'd say out of all the movies, this movie is between Underwater and this movie, because Underwater is a horror film, and I kind of want to watch the taste of The Grudge, hopefully out of my mouth with that movie. Hopefully it's good enough, to do that. But 1917 has good enough buzz that make me curious to want to go see it. But those are the movies that are coming out this week. Hopefully that helped you in deciding what movies you're going to go see, or if you're even going to go to the show. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the weekend predictions out of the movies that I just mentioned, and all the movies that are in the top 5 already. These are the movies that I think are going to dominate this coming weekend. I think The Rise of Skywalker is going to stay at number 1. I don't think any of the 4 movies are strong enough to take that number 1 spot. Not even 1917. I feel like it's going to be up in the top 5, but I don't think it's going to be the number 1 spot. Number 2, Jumanji 3, Jumanji The Next Level is going to come in number 2 as well. It's only at 26 million, so it may have a big drop, I don't know, but I don't believe that any of the other movies except for maybe Just Mercy may end up taking that spot, but I think that Jumanji is safe at least for one more week. Just Mercy, I feel like it's going to take the number 3 spot. Little Women is still going to be at it's going to take the number 4 spot. Going to be knocked down the number. And then I feel like number 5 is going to round up with 1917. I don't know how many people know about this movie. It may end up being a little bit higher. I wouldn't be surprised if this comes in at number 3. Or even number 2. But I'm going to put it at number 5 because even though it got a lot of buzz, I feel like that may end up putting it up there. But I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to put it at number 5. And that's going to be it. Now, I'm going to wrap up this podcast with new to rent on the stream. And there's only 2 movies that's coming out this week or today, which is Joker and The Lighthouse, which I already have reviews for both of those films that you guys could check out. I did it on my other podcast called the Review Podcast, and I may end up splitting it up and having individuals and just putting them as their separate own video. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and do it this week because I got a crap ton of other videos that I want to put out. But yeah, I have reviews for that, and I will put the link for the podcast in the description below so you can go ahead and check that out. And yeah, with that said, that wraps up this whole podcast of Box Office Talk. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me and bearing with me for these weeks that I was MIA with the box office talk and just all the other podcasts, movie reviews, and everything else. I'm trying to start off the new year strong, and I'm kind of like teetering toward, the last minute deadlines, but hopefully I can do a whole lot more this year. I have a lot planned. Like I said, I want to shoot something. I want to actually do some filmmaking, which I do have planned to do later on this year. I'm trying to get everything together, a new camera, I'm trying to get the boomstick, the editing software, I'm trying to get the actors, I'm writing the scripts and all that stuff for it, because it's going to be a show 4 episodes long, as far as the length of each episode, it ain't going to be too long, because I only have a certain amount of time to shoot this, because I'm trying to have it out by October, because I want it to be a horror show for Halloween and everything else to keep that spirit. But that's really about it, and I don't know, I'm just trying to do a whole lot more. Hopefully I can with music reviews as well, so we're gonna see about that. And with that said, we're going ahead and end this podcast, and I will catch you guys on the next one, episode 5 next week. Peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell? Make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.